My last Christmas card. I found out my father died the day I flew home for Christmas vacation on December 12th, 2008. I'd just flown into Biloxi, and my mother and stepfather picked me up to drive back to Mobile. My conversation was filled with descriptions of Boston, my roommates, classmates, and all the other fascinating things I'd learned while at Brandeis. My mom casually asked for Mr. Potential's number. I thought she asked because she had heard me talk about him and was interested in meeting him. I'd scheduled a lunch with my father and Mr. Potential and myself on December 21st, 2008. I wanted my father to meet Mr. Potential. I knew he was the one. So it wasn't odd that my mother wanted Mr. Potential's information. We completed our drive and pulled up to our home. I jumped out and hugged my sister and my grandma. We all went inside and I went to use the restroom. When I came out, everyone was sitting in the living room silently. My mother sat me down and told me my father died. When she said the words, it seemed as if my brain couldn't compute the information. I heard what she said, but I didn't comprehend it. I said it to myself a few times, but it didn't click. I looked around everyone's faces and I thought, this has to be a joke, right? But it wasn't a joke. After 30 seconds, I realized what she actually said, and a flood of fear, anger, and genuine confusion rushed me. Before I knew it, I had a complete meltdown and was medicated in my mother's bed. I called Mr. Potential. My daddy died. I know. I'm on my way to you. Okay. During the worst day of my life, a man was finally showing up for me. Mr. Potential convinced his best friend to drive him 4 hours to Mobile so he could be by my side. He stayed with me for 2 weeks during the entire ordeal. He held my hand, wiped my tears, and kissed my forehead. I existed in a perplexing and conflicted space. On one hand, my father, the only man that ever loved me, was dead, and this new man was there showing me things I wish my father had. After the funeral and Christmas holidays, I traveled to Mississippi to catch my flight back to Boston. I delayed my return to school for grieving reasons and spent the remaining time with Mr. Potential at his mother's trailer home. In random conversation, I'd mentioned that every year my father gave me a Christmas card and a birthday card. One night, while sleeping, Mr. Potential bought a Christmas card and wrote in it as if my father was speaking. He woke me up and told me he had my Christmas gifts. There was a necklace, perfume, Bath and Body Works lotion, and a card. When I got to the card, he said, "This is not for me." I opened it and saw my father's handwriting. Tears filled my eyes and excitement grew in my heart as I, in the first few seconds, actually thought my father wrote me a Christmas card before he died. The emotions grew more intense when I realized that Mr. Potential studied my father's handwriting and wrote me a Christmas card from my father so I could have one last Christmas with my daddy. Mr. Potential's thoughtfulness, heart, and love gave me the Christmas closure I yearned for. He gave me my father's last Christmas card.